Hi guys, firstly, can people hear me down the back? I'm usually well heard anyway, so it's not too bad with having a microphone. So, the talk, as Tom was saying, is steganography and communications. I bring good and bad news. The good news is steganography is a very, very interesting area. The bad news is that I'm a college lecturer. And what do? We take things that are very interesting and make them very boring. It's our job, that's what we get paid to do. So, I'm from Dublin, Ireland. I work in Blanchardstown in Dublin, Ireland. A couple of acronyms up there you can see. I worked in the industry. I've done a primary degree in technology 2004 at the Institute of Technology, Blanchardstown. I went on to do a master's degree in strategic management of IT. And proactively looking at securing local area networks at the time, particularly encryption, intrusion detection systems and honeypots. That was the first time I came across the term steganography, which was in 2005. And at the time I disregarded it as like, oh, it's not my area, I'm not really interested in it. So my current research is around steganography. Particularly, are terrorists using steganography or are criminals using steganography? My favourite thing to do, I'll tell you at the end of the presentation if you're still awake. Okay? Shameless plug for the institute that I work in. About 10 kilometres from any Dublin people in the audience. Nobody that's admitted to it anyway. About 10 kilometres from the city centre. 5,000 students in total. We've about 400 students throughout the different degrees studying cybersecurity. Our biggest problem at the moment is holding on to our 4 years and getting back into 4 years. Because the industry are coming in and taking them all after 3 years. Any students in the audience? The rest of them are asleep already. I teach computer and network forensics at degree level. Pretty much process driven. Any forensics investigators in the audience? So very process driven. I also teach mobile device forensics at the honours degree level, and then I supervise quite a number of master's projects. So any questions as we go along? Pop your hand up, happy to answer. There's an open forum. We're all here to learn, hopefully. What I'll cover today is steganography, challenges around the use of steganography, who's using steganography, who's discussing steganography, and a few experiments and research that we've done regarding steganography. So, steganography, what is this? It's covert writing, it's secret writing, it's communications in secret. It's been used since the Greeks used it. Very primitive. They used to take a slave, they shaved the slave's head, tattoo a message onto the slave's head, let the hair grow back, send the slave to whoever they had to go to, and then the other person would shave the head. You see our message. Very primitive. Unlike encryption, so if I'm using encryption, as we all probably have some understanding of encryption, if I'm a bad person and I'm using encryption and I'm talking to somebody at the back of the class using encryption, everybody else would know that a communication is taking place. Communication is taking place. Whereas in steganography, we can communicate in secret. People don't realise that communication is taking place. And information, or text, or whatever it is concealed in other information can be very, very hard to find. So the great Winston Churchill said, in wartime the truth is so precious it must be protected or attended by a bodyguard of lies. And he's dead right, 100% right. So, why do I steganography? Why was I drawn to steganography? I suppose it seemed sexy to me to begin with. When I started reading up about it, I came back lecturing in 2012. I was looking for some research areas. The fact that there was a lot of talk of terrorists using criminal activity really got me interested. Sorry, you meant to take my passport out to my something. Einstein, another one of the greats, if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough yourself. If you want to know if you're explaining something simply to somebody, I always say explain it to a 7-year-old or a 70-year-old. Explain it to a 7-year-old or a 70-year-old. If they can understand what you're talking about, you're going in a good place. So, my mother is 74 years old. Edit that part out there. she killed me. And I was explaining steganography to her. I was explaining to her, man, secret writing. It's explained the shaving the head. It says invisible ink is a form of steganography. Saying loads of those, so where there's a communication, where it's in secret, is steganography. She's a big fan of World War II and reading about World War II, so I was explaining to her about microdots, and microdots are a form of steganography. She said to me, "Gee, we're always into that type of thing." I'm like, it was? I only heard about it in 2005. Apparently when I was 5 years old, I was watching something on TV and they were using invisible ink, and I hounded my mother to get me invisible ink. Now, I was 5 in 1978 and I was living in Dublin's north inner city, and there wasn't a great supply of invisible ink in Dublin because it wasn't a demand. Very deprived area, but like a good Irish mother, she said she walked on length of breadth in Dublin. She eventually found me a set of markers. And I remember the markers that she talked about. It was a white marker, it's obviously a waxy type substance, and you draw something, and you get markers, you swing over it, and the message would appear, or your drawing would appear. So I can stand up here today and honestly say I have 40 years experience in the area of steganography. And I'm still learning. Reaction, what does reaction mean? I call it the steganography face now. In my own head, I call it the steganography face. People are always excited. I work in the Department of Informatics, and people be, "Oh, research at PhD, what's your area?" Steganography. Whoa. And I'm like, "Oh shit, how do I get out of here?" Nobody knows what it is, and it just takes the life out of people. What I've learned now is when I'm explaining what it is to people, steganography, it's secret communications, and they're a little bit, oh yeah. Steganography, it's secret communications, and terrorists could use it to communicate. Wow, that's amazing. That's really, really interesting. So the minute we mention criminal intent or terrorists, everybody seems to be interested. Any psychologists or psychiatrists in the audience probably explain that one for us. Is everyone okay? Move on. So, steganography. Before people shout ethical considerations at me, this head that's tattooed is not a real person. It's a student. No, nothing wrong. But this is what the Greeks were doing all those time ago. The egg, if you use a lume of vinegar and write in an egg, it will absorb. The message will be inside. So what came first, the message or the egg? Anybody can see some young people here, still young enough to go to nightclubs. Sometimes now they're going outside to smoke. You get some sort of an invisible mark, UV light over it. We have some students outside. There we are. UV light over it. Again, it's a form of steganography. Something I was reading about 2 years ago I never knew before. A lot of high-end printers, very faint yellow dots to leave a mark. The story behind it is that there was pressure from governments that printers were becoming so good and they could copy and counterfeit so well that there would be some way to trace where these counterfeits came from. So all forms of steganography. So, where can we hide information? Well, in our world, in our computing world, we can hide it in JPEGs, images, any type of images, WAV files, HTML pages. I'd probably go as far as saying there's the potential anywhere where we have ones and zeros, we can hide information. So where do we have ones and zeros in the world of computing? Everywhere. So, like Moore's Law, we get faster tools, more processing power, more bandwidth, our JPEGs become bigger, our definition becomes clearer. We now have HHD definition. This stuff is so clear. So digital evidence can be very hard to find. Very, very hard to find. Digital evidence of secrecy. So over the course of the last about 2.5 years, I've spoken to over 20 forensics investigators, and a lot of these are working for brand names that you'd know, so I won't mention any names. And I asked them what process, in the course of asking a lot of questions, what process do you use to identify the use of steganography? And I was amazed that they all use the exact same process. They don't. They never look for it. They just don't. It doesn't come into consideration. That they look for information, even in a JPEG where there can be information hid. They just doesn't come under the radar. So, steganography in itself, like encryption, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, having secrets, there's nothing wrong with having secrets. So, can be used for criminal intent, and this is where it gets bad. Hands up anybody here who keeps a secret. Easier question. Hands up anybody who doesn't keep a secret. Bearing in mind, I'll ask you for your password if you say you don't keep secrets. Secrets aren't a bad thing. We keep secrets. We keep secrets. Where's my clicker? So, a simple steganography process. M is a secret message. We have a secret message that we want to send. C is a carrier. For obvious reasons, a carrier always needs to be bigger than our message. Carrier needs to be bigger than our message. What we see now as well is a K coming in. And a lot of people create steganography, create a hidden message, but also encrypt it. So it's encrypted as well. So not alone can we not see it, it's also encrypted. And we send it, and then we reverse the process on the other end, and our secret message is found. Simple process. Simple process. So, Google Scholar articles around the area. Can we see this? So, Google Scholar articles. In 2016, there was 1,688 articles regarding encryption and terrorism. In the same year, there was 228 regarding steganography and terrorism. And this bodes true for if we were just to do a search on steganography and encryption as well. It's always a big gulf in the numbers. What I'd say about steganography. Steganography is in the family of communications. Steganography is like the cousin we know that exists, but nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. So, another interesting number in this as well that popped up. In 2001, there was 55 papers published on steganography and terrorism. In 2002, there were 114 total in 1 year. Why? September 11th. And this is where media started picking up that bin Laden was using steganography to communicate prior to the September 11 attacks. So there was a big focus on it. To this day, I haven't seen or read solid evidence that he was using. Fox News and CNN were reporting at the time that they were using steganography. What do we know about CNN? Fake news, people, fake news. So, moving along. It never ceases to amaze me how often it does pop up in mainstream media. Steganography. Because I talk to people, and as I was saying, the steganography face that I get so many times, people don't know what it is. But when you do a search for it, articles in the Daily Mail regarding steganography, terrorists using steganography. I don't know who their sources are. I don't know where they get this solid information. As a lecturer, most people have gone through the college system, you know I'll be always saying, where's your authoritative person in this area and your reference source? I don't know where they get their source from. But anyway, look at the media. Keeps on coming up that terrorists are using eBay to secretly communicate, using steganography on eBay. ISIS, all the time. You know, ISIS are constantly communicating secretly on eBay. Keeps on eBay. So we ran some experiments. Keep on losing the clicker. First of all, I'll just define the different types of steganography. We have text steganography. And text steganography can be as simple as the distance between letters on a page. Have some ulterior motive or meaning. Okay? There's a famous paragraph which I don't know off the top of my head and I never will. But in one of the word words, you take the first letter of each word and it spells the sentence in itself. Again, steganography. So text steganography. Audio steganography, similar to image steganography that I'll talk a little bit more about. Again, just hiding information in the information we already have. Network steganography. A potential on the 7 layers of the OSI model for steganography to be used. I was reading an article last month McAfee released a statement regarding network steganography, and this was the next big problem, network steganography, and malware is coming through steganography as well. And this is what we have to protect against. Reading between the lines, McAfee are saying you're going to have to pay us loads more money now because we found a new problem that we need to protect it against. So focusing now on the image steganography, we have masking, filtering, DCT, discrete cosine transformation. But the one that I do most of my research around is the least significant bit. And Gary Kessler, great guy regarding an area of steganography, excuse me. The most common forms of steganography nearly always use the least significant bit. And what we call the least significant bit. 8 bits in a byte. 8 bits in one byte. The wiggly thumb, the most significant bit. The wiggly thumb, the least significant bit. We can change the least significant bit to whatever we want, and visually the image would still look the exact same. In most cases, I don't want to offend anybody here, but we can change the two least significant bits, and our image still looks the exact same. And if we really want to push it, we can change the 3 least significant bits, and our image will stay the same. So we have these bits to play around with, and this is where we can put our secret message in, wherever we want in these bits. Again, in very simple terms, guys, the letter A has an ASCII code of 0150 and 1. If we want to hide this, so we're looking at RGB, so 1 pixel, RGB, red, green, and blue, 3 bytes. Where we have the black, all we're simply doing is taking our 0, change it. Our 1 we don't have to change because it's already 1. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Hit the letter A. That's it in its simplest form. That's it in its simplest form. So, any questions so far? That worries me a little bit because I know I'm not explaining myself that well. There's no questions, but you're still awake, so that's good. So, we know now that we have this room at the end of a byte where we can hide whatever information we want. How easy is it for us to go in and manipulate that? How easy is it for us to go in and manipulate that? It's as easy as uploading an image to Facebook, uploading an image to Instagram. We download a tool from the internet, and this is a good signal or a good yardstick to measure it. People will always ask me, well, are people using steganography? Are people using steganography? At the moment, there's around 1,200 tools available to create steganography. 1,200 tools available to create all the different types of steganography. So, is anybody using it? Well, that number would suggest there has to be somebody using it somewhere. So these are just 4 random ones that put up in no particular orders. All use different algorithms. They'll hide information in different ways. Some are more easy to detect than others. The flip side of that, 1,200 tools to create steganography, there's around 110 tools available to search for the use of steganography. And some of these, we see now a lot of the newer tools are distributing, so if you have a secret message or something to hide, it will distribute it over maybe 5 or 6 different images. So we're spread out, so it's getting more and more complex. So, Neil Provost and Peter Honeyman, 2 great guys as well around the area of steganography, wrote a paper in 2001. And the main thing was to detect the use of steganography on the internet, and particularly eBay. So they downloaded 2 million images from eBay in 2001 and analysed them using their different tools, looking for the use of steganography. Many instances of steganography that they find. Anybody hazard a guess? You? 0. Yeah, 0. Didn't find any whatsoever in 2001. So, 2015, the secret history of the Mossad being Israeli intelligence. Thomas wrote, again, terrorists are using eBay to hide secret messages, and they're using steganography to communicate. So, myself and a couple of my students third year students, I set them a project to find, well, is it being used? So we gave them some guidance and kept on their shoulder and sat on them as we have to do. So Stegananalysis is a new word. Stegananalysis is simply the process of identifying the use of steganography. The process of identifying the use of steganography. So, as we can imagine, eBay, all these images, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Literally like looking for a needle in a haystack. Looking for steganography in so many images. And bearing in mind, we don't even know if it's there to begin with. We could be analysing all these images, forensically examine them, looking for steganography. We don't know if it's there. So what we done was we reversed the process. And we create steganography. We create secret messages and we uploaded them onto eBay. And then we downloaded them to see if our message was still there. And our messages were gone. So the students used about 4 or 5 different tools to create steganography, upload, and then download. The steganography was always gone. So what was happening? Well, eBay have their own systems. They resize the JPEG. They use compression. So think about, we have a box and we put 24 eggs in a box. Then we squash the box down. Then we pull the box back out and make it. And the box looks the exact same on the outside. What's wrong with the eggs? They're smashed. And this is what's happening. So for a least significant bit, eBay is not suitable. You're not going to find least significant bit steganography on eBay. We also ran the same process through Facebook, same results. And Done Deal is it's a trading site in Ireland. It's the most accessed Irish website in Ireland. So people buy and sell cars, fridges, or whatever on eBay. Again, destroyed it every time. Every time. We couldn't retrieve the secret message. So that's it. We stopped. We gave up. So what we wanted to do then was obviously, if we're looking for a needle in a haystack, at a minimum, what should we be doing? Looking in a haystack. So that's what we tried to do, identify haystacks. Any Russian people in I've never heard of this site before until year before last. But Tatiana Loka was saying in 2014 that ISIS and everybody else was a bit like the Wild West. We're moving all our communications onto VK. VK is basically a Russian version of Facebook. Social media. They claim to have 420 million users. They have apparently about 50 or 60 million. It's not like the Russians to boast. So, same process, we create steganography in an image, uploaded the image, and downloaded the image again. Lo and behold, our message was still there. So now we know we have the environment suitable for steganography. So what we done then was the students went off and they downloaded circa around 2 million images. They started analysing through different available tools. This Steg Detect and Outguess they were using. These are tools available to detect steganography, the use of steganography. And they came back with about 1,000 images that were highly suspect. So a lot of tools, or the steganography tools, won't tell you that there's steganography there. They just categorise it. Single asterisk, 2 asterisks, or 3 asterisks. And 3 asterisks is there's a good potential that there's steganography there. Around 1,000 images were a high probability of steganography. The guy started analysing these images as well. I also ran the experiment. And I used some other tools that I have that I can't give you the name of at the moment. And I found it was a different data set from the same website. Found about 2,000 images were highly suspect. So it's being used, and it is being used. Now, there's a caveat, not necessarily illegal. If I was, for instance, if I was a photographer and I was putting my work up, I might embed steganography on my work. So if it does go to a court case, I can stand up and say, well, here's my work. I can stand over it. So it's not always bad. I don't want to paint a total bad picture of it. But I'm only interested in the bad stuff, I should say. The the students found a Hugo Boss advertisement. A Ukrainian, a girl, linked to a girl living in the Ukraine. They went in, they found the message in this. Further analysis, it wasn't actually her image to begin with. She had liked and shared it on her page. So it had been liked and shared thousands of times. This secret message was in. So we had to be careful what they're sharing on these sites. I found it, when I'm very interested in St. Basil's Cathedral, and beautiful. I don't know if people know St. Basil's Cathedral. It's really colourful, lovely, beautiful colours in St. Basil's Cathedral. But a great environment to hide information. And one of many pictures I've found, I'm in the process of analysing some of them still. And some very interesting text, which I can't divulge at the moment. So trace the original. When we're looking at steganography, it's very, very easy to create. As you can see here, it's very, very easy to create steganography. It's very, very difficult to identify. It's easy to create, difficult to identify. What makes our life a little bit easier is if we can find the original image. If we can find the original image. Because then we have something to work off. And it's quite easy to identify the changes. The original image. What am I talking about? The game of spot the difference. It really is a game of spot the difference. So on the left, we have the original, and on the right, we have the image that we could have steganography in. And there's changes, and you can see here, our eyes can pop on things, changes, and it's the same then in our binary code as well. We can find the changes. So there's tools out there as well. There's a girl doing some research, I can't remember in her, the tool that she's creating, particularly searches if you identify steganography, searches for the original as well. I wrote to a guy who took one of the original images, got him to send me the original. The original can be found. So we need the original, and that helps us a lot. Next, I have a picture of my big Mickey. So, this is the copy. So this is the copy. So this is the one that has the steganography, or has the changes. Can we spot the difference from the original? Welcome to the world of steganography. Welcome to the world of steganography. So if we have downloaded an image, we know that the steganography, we don't have the original. It's so hard to spot where this steganography is. And this is what I do for experiment. I meant to tell you when I was coming over on Ryanair flight yesterday. It was packed. And we were in the air, and about 15 rows up, when the stewardesses was hit the overhead button for attention. I was trying to get the attention of another stewardess that was back. Hit a thing, and like she was sitting in the IC looking, and she's like this. So they obviously have some secret message or some codes themselves for whatever. But the way she was leaning, she was like this. An Illuminati scene. So what's going on here? Sat in the airport and I was thinking, I really need to get a life. I really do. Before I talk about Steganardo, my passport, I brought this with me to remind me. I had a student running a 4th-year project, and in our passports now we have chips in our passport where all the information is, and you'll see, you'll go into some countries and they just scan it and all the information comes up on their screen. See, a lot of them don't even look at your picture anymore because the picture also comes up. So a 4th-year student compromised the chip, created his own chip, but also then has steganography or has secret messages hidden in the picture, in the chip on the passport. So if I want to bring banking codes or maybe anything, I can bring it in the passport. Fully compromised. It's a really good project. Really good project. My 3rd-year students developed a tool to create steganography called the Steganography. Very good. They distributed their algorithm distributes the secret picture, and they also use encryption as well. I use open source tools for detecting steganography. I also have some commercial tools that I use. I also use forensics toolkit and NCASE, all tools. I paid quite a lot of money for them. None of them found the secret message. None of them identified that there was steganography taking place. This is just Torvius who's developing the tool. So, what is the problem? What is the challenge? So, covert communication. Like encryption in itself, there's nothing wrong with secrecy. When it falls into the wrong hands, terrorists are using it, criminals are using it, and bad people are using it. And it's an international problem. It's an international problem because we see governments restricting encryption and banning encryption in certain cases. So these guys are still communicating. So what can be done to solve the challenge? What can be done to solve the challenge? If you come back to me next year, I'll tell you what I have done to solve the challenge. But at the moment, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. So, anybody who wants to contact me, I'm on LinkedIn. It's the best place to find me. Anybody who wants to chat with me, I'm on LinkedIn. Michael Hegarty 1. Always happy to talk to people. Very, very happy to talk to people. And like all research, there's always people to thank. Gary Kessler, Neil Provost, and Peter Honeyman. People are going to read more about Steganography. I suggest his Google search. Gary Kessler in particular, really up to date. The last one's Caddis, Francis Long, and Brendan Mooney, my own students who helped me in third year, fantastic guys. Really, really fantastic. I have students, I have all these people who help me with the research. And that's more or less me, guys. I think I went through that fairly quick. How are we for time? Grant on time. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Where's my clicker?
Yeah, one question. With the government sort of restricting encryption of that content and going back to all the articles, do you think we'll see a major increase then
in steganography?
Yeah.
Possibly. The thing about steganography is it's secret. And how much steganography is on, I can analyse these numbers and get a number. If somebody's using steganography really, really well, we can't find it, so we don't know it's there. So I usually say, okay, it's somewhere in between. Over here there's absolutely no steganography on the internet. It's not being used. All the way over here is every single image on the internet has steganography. And where are we? Well, I'd probably say we're somewhere about here. There's not much steganography. Will it grow? It will grow. Yeah. Will it become something that it's in us? Is that what you're asking? I hope not. Possibly.
Well, there's some forensic analysis tools, like you mentioned in case.
Yeah.
Do any of them pick up any of the forms of
what they usually do is they compare hash inputs of the tool that's used. Is it pickable? And NCASE or FTK, we search for steganography. Oh, very well, I should say. Yep.
The experiment that you did for third year students and for you,
yep.
Of your 2,000 images for you and 1,000 for your students, what proportion were just in plain text and not encrypted?
I don't know is the honest answer, but more would have been in plain text than encrypted. More would have been in plain text.
With the 1,000 images or so you found as highly probable
yep.
on UK.com, did you try with a word list and different tools to see if you could get anything by luck?
Yeah, we analysed, we used everything we had available and we did get to look in different it's a long and tedious process, and what I'm working on at the moment is you can see that there's so many different things to do. It's trying to streamline the overall process. And that's where my research is going at the moment. Streamline the process. And I've got down to what was taking us an average of 40 hours. It's taking about 12 hours at the moment.
Did you find that any one type of criminal was more likely to use this?
No, and I didn't. I didn't go after sources really to find out where this was. I read some information. A lot of it is from the message, no. And a lot of it no, would not be understandable in the sense of you don't know what language it's in to begin with, so they're translating. And usually you just use Google Translate. That's not going to be a great idea. What's really being said. But a lot of it would come across as just normal messages, not necessarily I'm going to blow up the world. You know, just normal messages.
I think in cases, it's all process to search for it. However, one thing that obviously we look for is the existence of certain tools, but also what is an extension of that is the user behavior. Have you looked at any user behavior? Because I know you haven't really got context and actors as such here. So that user behavior bit is going to be more useful as an indicator of users.
Not really, I'm going to, but a very good point you're making, a very, very good point is asking using the first thing we do in the forensics investigation, as simple as it sounds, is search the computer. Is there any tools on the computer used to create steganography? Or is there traces of steganography tools being used? And that's often going to bring you more rewards than relying on the links of entries or every day. Autopsy actually worked very well. Better than Unix, I should say, rather than very well. Go.
Do you reckon people use this for corporate espionage?
Sorry?
Do you reckon people use this for corporate espionage to exfiltrate data out?
Possible. Again, who knows, because we can't identify it, it's secret. And are they doing it? Possibly, if they haven't been unearthed or they haven't been caught. But yes, if I'm going to take out secret information from my company, take it out on a PowerPoint presentation. Like every JPEG image that I used in this PowerPoint presentation, and I use a good view, could have a secret message. They don't, but they could. And it wouldn't be a good place to hide steganography in a presentation about steganography. Maybe it's the most obvious.
You said like you tried like VK for image. You tried to place like Imager.
Image or what?
Image is like a website where you upload like pictures.
No, we haven't.
But they have a user submitted section.
Yeah.
There's always a lot of things on it, like pictures of like really broken down looking.
First thing I tried to identify is it a haystack? Is it suitable for steganography? And then go. There's a lot of these websites. BK is just one. Latvia as well have one called Dragon, which is Latvian for friends. And it's the same as the Facebook. And the more you have, exactly like the web portal you're discussing, the more that you have different pictures, loads of users, it makes it easier to hide information. Sorry, just before I always use my drugs analogy. If I have a bag of cocaine and I want to smuggle it in, the bigger the container I can hide this in, the better. Now, if I can get it where there's 100,000 containers coming through, well then it's going to be harder for people to find. And this is how people smuggle drugs in through ports. There's hundreds of thousands of containers coming in and they're smuggling one bag of drugs in like this, and it's very difficult to detect. And that's the same in steganography. Remember, we have loads and loads of images. We don't even know whether the drugs are there or not. Sorry.
It's a bit sketchy, but it's the last part I also used for things like error checksums. So do you find a failed error checksum if you have a
Not in the JPEG. Not in JPEGs. No, doesn't happen. Go ahead.
So you mentioned that there's obviously legitimate uses of this.
Oh yeah.
Like encryption. So encryption is obviously widely used commercially, legitimately.
Yeah.
Is there anyone using this commercially? Is there any uses for it at all?
Photographers will use it for their work, to address their work. X-rays, sometimes there's sensitive information regarding a patient, and in some hospitals they will use it on an X-ray, so it's not just visibly. This information isn't for everybody to see. So when you put your X-ray up, the whole room isn't looking at what's going on. So there is a lot of legitimate uses. And I know we talk about the bad side of it. It's like everybody thinks it's all bad.
Compression absolutely destroys the message, is that right?
Usually, yeah.
So,
So there's a lot of people doing it. If you were worried about malware coming in through steganography, what you can do is make sure everything that comes onto your network is compressed for so that so it's destroyed. Yeah, so using the soil. But there's a lot of environments that the criminal guys can create their own environment. So if I really wanted to mess in the seaway, have my own website, I don't know, bathroom extensions or something, have all these images. There's a lot of, if you read more about it, there's a lot of cases where a lot of known ISIS websites where, say, the logo or wherever they have, it looks the exact same, but it's changing on an hourly basis. If you download a picture and run it through a hash algorithm, you get a redo. Same picture an hour later, if you download it, different. So it's changed. No, you still always ask what the favourite thing to do is.
In terms of the laws around steganography, if
the laws
somebody was actually found to be sending malicious material, whatever malicious material, could they be convicted? Has that ever happened before?
I would imagine they can. I'm going to go out with it. Obviously, secrecy itself isn't against the law, but again, if you're malicious intent, you still come under the same laws as anything else. If you send it in plain text, it's illegal to send in plain text. It's illegal to send in steganography.
If you applied steganography to an image, will that file be bigger than the original?
Yeah, sometimes it can change. It will, yeah. Who's asking the question? Sorry. Oh, sorry. Yes, it will. Sometimes it will be, it won't change in size, but usually it will be a little bit bigger. And that's a dead giveaway. Remember we were saying our job is trying to trace the original. First of all, are they the same size? And the second thing we do is we put them through an MD5 and are we getting the same readout? If we're not, well then there's some difference. Then we start going in and find what the difference is. But yes, it will usually, and then we're saying we can usually use an image 10% of the size of the image. You can hide that message and the image looks the exact same. And no difference. Sorry, that was it.
The same way that you don't want to try to crack down on end-to-end encryption.
I haven't walked on apologies.
The same way you don't want to try to crack down on end-to-end encryption.
Yes,
is ludicrous. Do you think they're going to attempt to do something similar with this?
As I'm saying, a similar question earlier, it's hard to know because it's hard to identify how much steganography exists. So people are using it in secret and it's against the law. If they're never caught using it, they're not going to know they're using it. It's not like encryption where you can see encryption on a network and you say, hey, you're not allowed to do that. Whereas steganography is hidden in plain sight. So you don't know. So it would be a difficult law to enforce. Because if, again, out the heat, there's so much criminal use of it, they might. I think they're more worried about encryption than.
Yeah.
Any more questions? I thought you cared about me. You don't even care about me enough to ask me what my favourite thing to do is.
What's your favourite thing to do?
What a fantastic question. Never thought of that. Favourite thing to do was laugh. I love laughing. I think, even as a lecturer, I always say learning should be enjoyable. And I see so many lecturers, and even, obviously, we sat through lecturers and we rip their heart out. Beating them into the ground and, and they make it a horrible experience. So, learning should be enjoyable. I like that. Sorry,
Is it possible if the image was compressed, the amount of compression that be necessarily really lightly compressed, is it possible to still get through?
Can you ask me that question again? Sorry.
If it is lightly compressed, like really lightly compressed, would the message still be able to get through, or is it?
Possibly, yes. Possibly, yes, because they have box and back sometimes, but they usually try to avoid compression of the sometimes you get a message back out of the computer and it might ask for a passphrase instead of a passphrase, and it might ask for that, but then you won't get the message. The only way you ever know that this is what you actually do. Sorry.
So you talk a lot about images.
Yeah.
But you did mention there's other file types you can use as well.
Absolutely.
Have you done any investigation to which file types are more efficient to use? So for the amount of data that you can hide within a
haven't really delved into that area. I haven't really delved into that area. And I'm sort of obsessed with JPEGs. Sorry, you can't do it. Usually, as a rule, the bigger the carrier, the easier it is to hide a message, more messages you can. Whatever the carrier is, that will response.
Large particulars, MPEGs as well.
Anything that we have where we have ones and zeros that are moved, we can use it. We can find the tools and create it. So, an interesting point from the questions coming in, and people are asking me questions about different areas and saying I don't really have an answer. Originally, when I started doing a PhD in steganography, and I was like, forensics and big area of forensics, and it was like the head of the department was saying, narrow your focus. And I said, I'll narrow my focus on steganography. I'll narrow my focus right down into steganography. And as soon as I started to research steganography, boom, this huge area that I didn't know existed just opened up. So that's what I'm doing now again, is just narrowing back down into JPEG steganography and try to get some numbers around that. Huge areas, huge research. Very good question.
Obviously, you've talked about a lot of the information being embedded in the image. What about things like metadata associated with things like the exit data? Have you seen stuff?
There's always, is there secret messages in metadata? Absolutely, yes. Sometimes as simply as you can see as the comments on HTML code. Messages. Who starts two books and forensically examine the old comments and code. Go look for it.
Use of agents.
Sorry?
Use of agents. Yes.
Investigations in the dark web.
Good question, and I should have actually said it. This is where we seen in 2014 Tatiana Locat saying that ISIS had moved their communications onto VK.com, in which they did, and it was the Wild West for a while. But Russia have really tightened up on laws on this, and they've all thrown them out, and they've gone onto the dark web, and that's where I'm going next. And I've done some initial research around dark web sites, and I'm looking at probably around the same numbers of steganography on the darknet as you would on the clearnet, somewhere around. But I haven't done too much in that area. But it's where the bad guys are hanging out now, so we're told. I'm getting a message on time, so have you any more questions? Anybody who wants to ask me anything else will be outside, so you're more than welcome to come over and have a chat with me. I'm always happy to have a talk. It's a novel thing for me to present to an audience, and these are all awake. Really is. It's fantastic. This is what it should really be like. Thanks for coming in, guys. I really, really appreciate you being here. Thanks.